Thank you, Naina, for being here at Prana 2025. Quick, a question around the fact that you've been in this sector and straddled across diverse sectors, including finance, including societal impact. I think the first question to you is that how do you see corporates playing a much larger role from a sustainability perspective, and how things have changed over the years that you worked in this sector?
Yeah. So I think we're at a very exciting stage where certainly large corporates have embraced sustainability. They've had to embrace it because in many cases for larger listed companies, the investors, the stakeholders are asking them as to where they are on their ESG journey, how and what they have to showcase in terms of their embracing of issues to do with the environment, with human rights, with governance, and most importantly with the risks that come with energy efficiency, water efficiency, etc. So large corporates get it, they are forced into it by their investors, and in fact today, as an erstwhile banker, I can tell you that even a decade ago we were looking at the financial risk around climate and therefore around sustainability as to how companies were addressing areas to do with floods, with water efficiency given water shortages, with power and energy efficiency. And the good news now is that a lot of these sustainability related journeys of companies are getting tied in with what our own government in India is hoping to achieve. And frankly, it's in your own self-interest, in our country's self-interest, in the company's self-interest. Why? Power is expensive and short in the country. So if you're energy efficient, you are indeed being more cost effective, more cost efficient. It helps your bottom line, but also helps the country on its journey. Likewise with water. If I'm not water efficient, I'm drawing water from the communities around me, I'm probably going to have a big dharna going on outside, and companies have had that happen to them. On the other hand, companies that understand sustainability put water back into the community, demonstrate that they're making drinking water available, making water available to the communities around their factories, benefit from the goodwill that they create. And this journey, I think, is one which we have to see all companies, particularly in the MSME, also track. But there are challenges there.
Yeah, so speaking of challenges, like there are companies, I'm sure, and there's now regulation in the sector as well. So there are companies which have woken up to the idea.
Yeah.
But what do you think about, how do you get more companies into the ambit? What do you think are the risks which are associated with having some companies out of it and probably not understanding the impact that it could have by not having them in the net? So
it's a great question, and I think there are many MSMEs, the mid-sized small companies, who would like to embark on the journey, but there's a cost. And the answer to my mind has to be that we create industrial parks where you have a plug-and-play sort of system where power that is indeed renewable power, wind, solar is provided, where water efficiency is indeed part of the program, and they each pay for what they draw on, but they aren't required to put the capital cost into making it happen, because that becomes expensive and also maybe inefficient. And we need more of this, efficient industrial parks. In fact, FICCI is embarked on a program to do just this, giving awards to industrial parks for sustainability. So if we raise the standard where there are clusters of companies and they come together and share this agenda, it works. And this happened in Tirupur, but it happened because the community around was up in arms because their water was now being colored with all the dyes from the textile industry. Water was getting poisoned for everyone. And when they came together and solved for the problem, what then happened was a shared agenda. And the same thing in Moradabad. When I was at HSBC, we funded a project with WWF where the answer had to be the government, the companies, and the community all came together to solve for, otherwise, the brass and metal that was poisoning their own water and their own children. So you start with educating them as to the behavior change of not putting all that effluent into the water. And it's right there on the rivers of India that much of industry exists. And when they realize they're poisoning themselves, then that whole clutch of small little companies doing brass things here and there came together to solve for it. And it endured because the community embraced it. It didn't just stop at being a regulation. So I think we need to have this kind of the behavior change that happens, attitudes changing, regulation of course, but also assistance so that people can collaborate to share the costs, particularly when you're a small industry.
I think I'll end up with the most burning question, which right now I think everyone is asking. We have India's urban centers right now drowning in their own waste.
Yeah.
And I think considering the fact that you've been at the helm of the India Sanitation, Coalition, so what can India do differently? Because I think the way we keep our cities, the way we keep our hygiene is going to define what brand India is. So what, apart from the fact that the government, consumer, community need to come together, what more we can do to?
So I think you've covered the key, that is that the collaboration that happens with government, communities, and I would add the private sector, corporate sector, which is a lot of the work we do in the India Sanitation Coalition, is bringing private sector engagement into a very unsexy area, sanitation, to make them really own it. And it started actually for me when I founded the India Sanitation Coalition just before the Swachh Bharat mission started. So actually government was our best partner and friend. We couldn't do enough to do what they needed. So that whole program of behavior change, toilet building, then the big challenges of treating what goes into the toilet, which is basically the whole sewage journey. And now more recently for us, which is a huge challenge, is plastic waste management. How do you manage the waste that comes, of course, in terms of the sewage, so it doesn't wreck your water and your water bodies? How can you reuse grey water? But now increasingly the circularity of plastic waste, which can be used. It can be used as energy, it's being used now in cement plants for energy, it can be used in road making, it's being used in terms of just the circularity of reusing the plastic in the packaging and the materials that we have. But we have a long way to go on that. And it is a very tough journey, and one which we absolutely have to embrace, because we are drowning. We are just drowning in that waste.
I think with leaders like you at the helm, I'm certain that brand India is going to shine by 2047 for sure. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.